All right, well now it's time to start adding a little bit of Bootstrap components and then also do some embedding of content from other websites onto our pages. We'll kind of just add some cool flash to our page. So the first thing I want to do, let's go over to the Captain Eli's page. What I think would be really cool is if we could put a map of where this brewery is at in case you wanted to go and visit where the Captain Eli's is actually brewed. And so Captain Eli's is one of the root beers that, well, one of many that is brewed at a location that also brews beer, and it's actually at the Shipyard Brewing Company is the parent company for Captain Eli's. And if we were to go to their to Google Maps, we can go and we can find here's the Shipyard Brewing Company. Now also we're going to go back to the get Bootstrap page, and there's this components page. We're going to be using this for a little bit. So on the Get Bootstrap page, in addition to the glyph icons, there's all sorts of different ways we can use Bootstrap and modify things. For example, we've got our navigation. We could make this tabs or make our navigation buttons, and maybe we'll do that as well. But we can do if we need drop downs, if we want to add breadcrumbs like we talked about earlier, if we want to add badges and labels and all sorts of different things that we can add, and the sample code is right there. So right here, what I want to do is I want to add in what we call a responsive embed, okay, which Bootstrap has it really nicely, a way to make our embedding, in this case the embedding of a video on YouTube, that make this embedding so that when the page is resized, that the it doesn't show very well. Where'd it go? There it is. So that the content gets dynamically resized as well. So this is a responsive embed, meaning that this image, this video will always take up the width of the screen, no matter the size. And so we want to add one of those responsive embeds so that that our content that we want to embed will also take up the right amount of space. So we can see that there's some sample code given here, a 16:9 aspect ratio, which is our widescreen format, and our 4:3 aspect ratio, which is not used as commonly anymore. So I'm going to use this sample code here and go and drop it in, and we'll put this down right below our last row here. Give us a little space to work, and we will paste that in. Now this div, which has the embed responsive 16:9, has this iframe class in here, or iframe that also has this embed responsive item class, and then source. And if we were just to save this and look at our page, refresh this, you'd see that, well, it can't find that file because, well, there's really no file that it's pointing at. So why don't we give it a file to look at? So on Google, and you can do this for YouTube, you can do this for other websites as well, but one of the things you can do with Google Maps is just hit the share button and click on embed map, and it'll show you the map that you get, and here's the iframe that we're going to get. You can change the sizes to various things. It doesn't really matter because we've got it inside. We're going to put it inside of our embedded response. Medium is fine here. And so I'm going to copy this, and right now I'm just going to paste it right below just so we can see what's going on here. Here's iframe with the source, and all we need to do really is grab this source and pop it in here. And I think that's all we're going to need. Let me see if it works. All right, there's our image. That's all we did. So all I did was grab the source and put it in what we already copied from the Get Bootstrap page. And now we've got a cool little map down here. Now, in addition to the map, it would probably be nice if we put a little, a header on here that said what the location was. So why don't we go and right above here, we'll add add an h3 class because that's what they were above there. And we'll call this, oh, let's do similar to the similar brews. It was this one right here. So it has a class of page header. And we'll just call this location. Now when we put that in there, it's got a nice little location, which is nice. Now one thing that's kind of odd is, you know, this looks okay. We've got the map here. It looks kind of cool, but it does have kind of, you know, nice sharp edges that don't really, you know, go entirely with the theme. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. One thing I want to show you though is in Bootstrap we've got some panels. For example, if you want to put something around here, a nice little rounded corner panel, that's kind of cool. Or a well, which is kind of an opposite colored and inset kind of looked panel. And so I'm gonna use a well. I'm gonna put this div that's just a, you know, a well. I just do a medium-sized one around that embedded one. So we've already got on our page. We've already got this embedded response, but let's go and wrap that up in a well, and then close off that div. Tab these in, tab that out. There we go. And so now this is kind of wrapped in an off color, kind of rounded corners. I kind of like that a little bit. Well, so we can see what we're doing. Why don't we go and do some embedding on the other page as well. So if we go to our index page, I'm going to do and also do another responsive embed. So I'm just going to copy the same code we did before. And we're going to go find, let's go down here. I'm going to do it below the pagination and above the footer. There's our responsive embed code. And in this case, I found a nice little song that I think goes well with Root Beer up on SoundCloud. And so I'm just going to put the iframe inside of here for the source. Copy and paste the source that I found. And let's refresh our page right here. And so down at the bottom of our nice page here, we've got a nice little song about root beer floats on SoundCloud, and we can paste that. So there's some nice ways to embed here. And again, we could put a well around that if we wanted to. Let's see if it looks like what I want it to look like. I don't know if that looks as good or not. We'll leave it for now though. Anyway, that's how we do embedding of other content using a couple of Bootstrap components, the responsive embed and the wells.